Hello, continuing on today. I hope you guys are all doing well. We are at Men Must Have Wine and Horses Water, page 379 on this book. 4 new guests had just come in. Remember, they're at the Thénardier's tavern. Cosette was musing sadly, for, though only 8 years old, she had already suffered so much that she brooded with the mournful air of an old woman. She had a bruised eyelid from a blow of the Thénardiers' fist, which made the Thénardiers say from time to time, "How ugly she is with her black eye." Cosette was thinking it was dark outside, late in the evening, that the bowls and pitchers in the rooms of the last travellers to arrive had needed to be filled, and that there was no more water in the cistern. One thing comforted her a little. They did not drink much water chez Thénardier. There were plenty of people there who were thirsty, but it was the kind of thirst that reaches toward the jug rather than the pitcher. Had anybody asked for a glass of water among these glasses of wine, he would have seemed a savage to all those men. However, there was an instant when the child trembled. The Thénardiers raised the cover of a kettle that was boiling on the stove, then took a glass and quickly went over to the cistern. She turned the faucet, the child had raised her head, and followed all her movements. A thin stream of water ran from the faucet and filled the glass half full. "Well," she said, "there's no more water." Then she was silent for a moment. The child held her breath. "Damn," continued the Thénardiers, examining the half-filled glass, "this will be just enough." Cosette went back to her work, but for more than a quarter of an hour she felt her heart leaping in her chest like a great ball. She counted the minutes as they rolled by and eagerly wished it were morning. From time to time one of the drinkers would look out into the street and exclaim, "It's as black as an oven," or, "It would take a cat to go out on the street without a lantern tonight," and Cosette shuddered. All at once one of the pedlars, who lodged in the tavern, came in and said in a harsh voice, "You haven't watered my horse." "Oh, yes, we have," said the Thénardiers. "I tell you no, ma'am," replied the pedlar. Cosette came out from under the table. "Oh, yes, monsieur," she said, "the horse did drink. He drank out of the bucket, the whole bucketful, and I carried it to him, and I talked to him." It was not true. Cosette lied. "Here's a girl as big as my fist who can tell a lie as big as a house," exclaimed the pedlar. "I tell you he has not had any water, little wench. He has a way of blowing. I know quite well when he hasn't had any water." Cosette persisted, and added in a barely audible voice, stifled with anguish, "But he did drink a good deal." "Come on," continued the pedlar in rage. "That's enough. Give my horse his water, and shut up." Cosette went back under the table. Remember that Cosette was the one that had to go get the water in the night if there was no water, so that's why she lied. "Well, of course that's right," said the Thénardiers. "If the animal hasn't had any water, it must have some." Then, looking around her, "Well, what's become of that girl?" She stooped down and discovered Cosette crouched at the other end of the table, almost under the feet of the drinkers. "Are you going?" cried the Thénardiers. Cosette came out from where she had hidden. The Thénardiers continued, "Little Miss Nameless, go get some water for the horse." "But, madame," said Cosette faintly, "there isn't any water." The Thénardiers threw the street door wide open. "Well, go fetch some." Cosette hung her head and went for an empty bucket by the chimney corner. The bucket was larger than she, and the child could have sat down in it comfortably. The Thénardiers went back to the range and tasted what was in the kettle with a wooden spoon, grumbling all the while. "There's some at the spring. She's the worst girl there ever was. I think I should have left out the onions." Then she fumbled in a drawer where there were some pennies, some garlic, pepper, and garlic. "Here, little Miss Toad," she added, "on the way back get a loaf at the baker's. Here's 15 sous." Cosette had a little pocket at the side of her apron. She took the coin without saying a word and put it in that pocket. Then she remained motionless, bucket in hand, the open door in front of her. She seemed to be waiting for somebody to come to her aid. "Get out," cried the Thénardiers. Cosette went out. The door closed. The row of booths stretched along the street from the church, the reader will remember, as far as the Thénardier tavern. These booths, because of the impending approach of the citizens on their way to the midnight mass, were all illuminated with candles, burning in paper lanterns, which, as the schoolmaster of Montfermeil, at the moment seated at one of Thénardier's tables, had said, produced a magical effect. On the other hand, there was not a star in the sky. The last of these stalls, set up right opposite Thénardier's, was a toy shop, all glittering with trinkets, glass beads, and magnificent things made of tin. In the first row in front the merchant had placed, on a bed of white napkins, a huge doll, nearly 2 feet tall, in a dress of pink crepe with gold garlands on its head, with real hair and enamel eyes. All day this marvel had been displayed to the wonder of the passer-byers under 10 years of age. But there had not been found in Montfermeil a mother rich enough or prodigal enough to give it to her child. Éponine and Elzoma had spent hours gazing at it, and Cosette herself, furtively, it is true, had dared to look at it. Okay, we don't need to continue with the rest of that chapter. We'll start out with the little girl all alone.